Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the next episode of the Emergence show, where we talk about the latest and greatest in emerging tech and immersive experiences. I'm Nico Farah, your host. I'm a creative technologist, and I'm very passionate about applying these amazing technologies into our daily lives. And the fashion industry specifically is very important to me, and I've been dedicating myself over the past few years building solution for this industry. Throughout this experience, I met amazing people like our special guest today, Ope, and we are going to talk about how these amazing technologies are used positively in the fashion industry and where does the future take us. So we have a really exciting conversation. I will let our guest introduce herself and we get started this exciting topic. How are you doing, Ope?
I'm good, Nico. Good to see you. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I appreciate that.
Of course. Tell us more about your background. I know you were in the traditional fashion industry. You're such a creative person. And then you found your way into the AI world. And now you're excelling at it, winning competitions, doing partnerships. It's just so amazing. So tell us more about your background and how you got into the space.
Yeah, so I worked for many years as a stylist, and then I transitioned out of styling during COVID. Like, I think a lot of people were transitioning careers at that time. And while we were waiting, I found out a lot about, technology, and I was looking for it because I was, I ran into it because I was looking for cures for sustainability questions, in fashion. I
Mm-hmm.
had gotten into this rabbit hole and found out that, there was digital fashion in this rabbit hole. I found that out. And so in doing that, I was able to, realize this new thing. And I was like, okay, this is great. And then I started to ask myself, okay, what is the digital fashion going to be used for in that search? And then I saw that there was more to it, and it was like I struck gold, because then I realized that I could. Um, there were all these other things that were behind it. There was NFTs. That was the first thing. NFTs. And then it was, metaverse, lands and places and avatars and dressing avatars and augmented reality, virtual reality, AI, holograms. There was so much, right? So yeah, I was in that discovery zone, but this came from me sitting down during COVID after um, a long background of styling in magazines, and for Century 21 stores. I was running the fashion studio for the .com, and everything just came to a standstill. That's how I got there. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And we just got a comment from Yemi, our dear friend. Hi, dear. Thank you for tuning in. And thanks to our amazing audience. If you guys have any comments as we go through the conversation, feel free to put it in the comment section. We're seeing that and we'll happily respond. Awesome. So, can you tell us a little bit more in terms of like, how was your workflow as a fashion stylist working in New York City, working with brands before you incorporate these technologies, and how did it change when you started incorporating these?
Um, I'm so sorry. Wait. The first part of that question is, wait, say that.
So I remember listening to one of your clubhouse discussions. You're so good at talking about these, and I remember you mentioned that previously it would be a lot of logistical planning of booking the models, getting them space to do the shooting and stuff like that. There was a lot of planning and logistical challenges sometimes to just create like a beautiful shot, but to just bring your ideas to life. I would imagine AI and these other tools have kind of simplified the process, accelerated your creative creation. So anything you want to share in terms of like how your workflow as a creative has changed or enhanced with these technologies?
Yes, you're right. So yes, when my background as so I was not just doing fashion styling, and that's why you probably heard that conversation. I was doing production of my shoots. I was doing creative direction of my shoots.
Wow.
So I would book my model with my background as running the studio for Century 21 stores, where I was doing like, I would run the studio, I would hire the photographers, I would hire the models, I would hire the other stylists, and run the sets and make sure the pictures were, perfect. But well, they were already like incorporating like fast technology inside the studios, so that I was not just styling, I was styling and taking the pictures.
Okay.
And dressing, dressing the model, and also monitoring the other sets, doing the photo production of all the sets. As a stylist, if I wanted to produce my own pictures, right, because I always wanted to do, my own creative things, I would, again, book the model, find the photographer, find the makeup artist, find the hairstylist, scout the location, decide, what kind of makeup, what kind of hair, what kind of shots, how do I want this to look, set up a mood board, all of that, in producing, a shot.
Yeah.
So yes, AI has, well, one, it has allowed me to, because at some point I started to try and take some of this into my own hands, and trying to, as I was learning photography, try to take my own pictures,
Mhm.
which I loved. I actually loved taking pictures, but then it was more of, okay, you took the picture, now you have to retouch it. The retouching, that took a lot of joy out of, the whole process for me, because
Mm.
I wanted it to be a stellar image. And, in order to do that, you need to ship it off to, you need to find the best person to do the retouching, so you have like a stellar image.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hands that go into, like, making of a shot. I will say that AI does allow me to, to take put the powers in my hands to create whatever it is that I would like to create, with all of the control that I was looking for, the creative control, and
Mm.
as directing the shot, creatively directing the shot, that I was able to find more control in the AI, because now I could create a stellar image, and I could control how I wanted it. I could, I could make the hair look like however I want it. I could do the styling, I can decide the styling. And with the AI today, I can make more decisions in styling than I could at first, when we
Mm.
first started doing AI. When I was first teaching AI, it was one tool altogether
Right.
than what it is today. The versions of the different generative AI is a lot different, because you have even more control over like segments of the shot. You can change it up here, you can change it up there, you can change the background, you can change the bottom, you can change the top, you can change anything inside the shot. Whereas, at first, and even I can, stay consistent with the character if I want. Um, Whereas before, it was just like whatever you get, you have to deal with it with the six fingers, or the meshy eyeball, whatever it gave you, you had to kind of deal with. So, without, having to retouch it, because that's what I was doing. I would take it, I would take it and put it in Photoshop, and then take that sixth finger off, or fix the eyeball or whatever, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
do that in the generative AI platform, whichever one you're using, most of them.
Most of them have improved. Awesome. Um, Before we get into more questions, I appreciate our amazing audience. Amriel, Neville, thank you being here and sharing messages with us. Yeah, so you touched on a really good points. So the time and budget that you were kind of going through, the logistical challenges that you were going through were a lot more upfront and compared to what you are doing right now. How are you kind of incorporating AI even into those previous workflows? Like when you have an idea, when you have created kind of like what you're looking for, can you take this and or have you tried taking this and applying it to the real world type of photo shoot or not?
Applying it to real
Kind
world.
of like communicating with all those creators, all those contributors of your team. This is what I'm aiming for. Now it helps you with the communication of instead of like just using words. Now you have visuals.
Absolutely. That is a great part of the generation, is that you can conceptualize an idea, and you can make your ideas more clear to your team. Like if I were still right now, I haven't taken time to do any photo shoots lately. I
Mhm.
have been yeah, I probably will need to be getting back to that. I do have a camera. I do have models that hit me up. I have people that are like, come out in style. Let's do a shoot. And I'm so in the zone with this that I have not wanted to get out of the zone at this time, not yet. But it's great because, I always suggest this. It's great to create mood boards. It's a great tool to conceptualize things, and to put your ideas, to make people be able to get it. Like, this is what I want. And that's what we were doing anyway. When we were doing photo shoots, you had a mood board, and you would set it up, and you would say, this is an idea for where I want to go. But what I like about this is, because you never want to like plagiarize anybody's work, right, outright. So what I like about this is that at least I can even do exactly what I want to do and say, this is exactly how I want it. Or I could say, I want an idea of this, and let's like take it a little bit further. You can do a lot with the tool. You can say, this is exactly what I want, because you can generate so many different spots with the tool. Or you could say, well, yeah, let's, because what normally happens in a shoot is that you're in the shoot, and you're like, you have all these amazing creative people, and you want them to be able to be creative. So you could say, yeah, let's take it a little bit far. But maybe if you have a job and you have a client who wants you to do something very specific, you can give it to the client. You can say, this is what the client is looking for. Let's do it exactly like this.
Mhm.
Or that you can decide if they want to give you some creative freedom and go further. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you can experiment more freely, and then when you pick the right, idea that you like it or your client likes it, then you're able to better communicate that with all the collaborators. That's amazing.
Yes.
Have you seen any limitations in terms of like what you were able to do with physical models and setups and teams versus what you are able to do with AI?
Wait, so you said,
Is there any limitations or anything that you can't do that you could do? And we talked about how you AI helped you solve some of the challenges of real world with the creative control. How about the other way around? Are there challenges that AI has, but in the real world you didn't have that? So, like, is there anything that AI is not still able to do?
okay, so I will say this, and it's gotten us. Well, they've taken it further now. So like I said, they just like, and they're updating this all the time, which is great. But they're, at first, I will say this, like, if I wanted to see, the problem was, as a person of color, we were seeing less people who were like us in the things that we were doing, which was why I
Yeah.
wanted to create some of these editorials. If I got to a shoot, I didn't have a choice over, there was always going to be a lighter hue model. not necessarily a person of color, right? Not usually.
Yes.
But when I was creating, I was able to I was able to be able to sorry, I was able to use the tools to create things where I could see people of color.
Yeah.
I could put in models of color. So I was very deliberate about that. I really tried to do that as much as possible. Um, having done this for a long time, and not being able to see people of color being represented in a lot of these campaigns, a lot of these, things that happen. Just it's just a matter of fact. Um, and then when I was doing the AI, I found in the beginning, right, and this is why we had to make our voices known about this, that I had to voice the concern about not being able to generate, again, people of color. Because
Yeah.
there was an implicit bias in the beginning. Like it was just set up. Even if you put a black person in there, or a person of color, or whatever way you put it in there, you could still get lighter hue models.
Wow.
It just didn't do that. And not only that, it would if it yielded a person of color, it would be an unattractive person. So I had to make my commands fit, like, in a way. I had to really, like, go crazy on words to get
Wow.
people that were attractive, attractive, well, to me, for what it was that I was trying to do. Like, it was really crazy. And I remember at first, the people of color used to actually look like monsters. It
Oh
was
my
really crazy. It was crazy to say, but things have really changed, which is really good. But that was an issue, and sometimes it still is. Sometimes, I'll be like, why is it giving me, this, why is it giving me something completely opposite of what I asked for, so it was always, and it was naturally set up, and I think it's probably still is, to automatically yield a lighter race person. Like, that was the automatic. Like, it's not going to just give you a black person off the top, off the top generation, off of your first generation. If you did a generation by accident that you didn't ask for a person of color, you were going to get a person that was,
Yeah.
so that's
The
how it.
definition of beauty is different for them. And is there some like a inherent bias that was carried over from our society to these tools, and then it was reinforced by the community? As far as I know, for example, with Midjourney, based on how people rate the outcomes, it will get retrained, and so it was reinforcing that kind of wrong mindset of like white is skinny is the beauty standard, which is really sad.
So yeah, so I think, there are two ways that we do the machine learning. It's by whoever is using it, and also whoever is rating it, especially for something like Midjourney. You have people who rate it, and I have to admit, I'm not one of those people. I have done some of the ratings, but I spend my time creating so much that I'm rarely doing ratings. But whatever, we're training the model by using the model. So what I have in there is training. But I guess it does speak to how many people are still not yet using it, who are producing images, or things like I would, maybe. And then I came to the conclusion that, the people who are building things, you are looking for the things that you're looking for. You're not even you might not even be thinking. um you're just it's like a selfie. I think these things are like selfies. And
Mhm.
like, if you make something, you're making it for yourself. You're not thinking about everybody else. You just are not. And I think that that's what happened with these things. And it takes people to say, hey, this is not producing what I need it to produce. Can you make it produce that? Now, if they say no, then there's a real problem. but it was something that was, I saw some things change. And I think you're right though with with that I think you're right about the fact that it's about who the ratings for certain places,
Yeah.
how you rate things do factor into how they are giving you outputs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard when there are these new technologies. It's hard for us to think through the impact we are making with our actions. We're all excited to try them. We are not necessarily thinking the big picture of like what is happening, what is behind all of this. Like, are they really providing some of this for free because they want us to enjoy it, or is it like a marketing tool for them? So there's a deeper message and thought process that we have to go through. And then in terms of like how our work and collaboration with these tools are going to impact the future of these tools, that's very important that you touched on. And thanks, Yemi, for bringing up this topic as well. We all are very concerned about how these are playing out. I'm curious, is there a specific tool that you found being less biased, or are you always using Midjourney?
um I do use Midjourney a lot because it produces the kind of imagery that I prefer, but I make adjustments in Photoshop, and I have trained people using Leonardo AI. There's also Stable Diffusion. If you can, figure it out for yourself. And um, Stable Diffusion was okay. It produced more monster-like people in general. I think for me, but Leonardo AI was a good one. And Lexica, I think, was another one that I use sometimes. Also, there was another one that they're actually pretty good. I just have to find their. I have
Yeah,
it.
take your time. So let me read the comment from Yemi, continuing her point. I noticed with a certain generative AI tool, when I type in generative dark skinned curvy model, it will come back with an error that my prompt contains something offensive. Oh my God. It is as if there is so much unnecessary limitations and biases that humans are still feeding into the systems. Yes, it's really sad. Hopefully, we will have more contributors, more builders that are coming from diverse backgrounds and more open to this. It's interesting. Like, I think Google Gemini was going the other way around, and they were really enforcing this inclusivity. And then there was a whole, controversy around why some of the images that were supposed to be white skinned are now turned people of color. It's just tools. We're all experimenting and learning. We all have to be open minded and try to like do our best with these tools. Did you remember that, OP, or not?
Yeah, it was Facet app. Facet dot app is was another
Awesome.
one. Hmm.
Very cool. And if
Yeah.
you want to type the links in the comment section, you can as well. So our amazing audience can benefit from that. Neville mentioned I used to work as a fashion photographer back in the 80s and 90s using old school films. So many advances in the technology from back then. Yeah, what's interesting about these generative AI tools is that you can now prompt having those old school films, right? So you don't have to necessarily create all the modern type of photography images. So definitely give it a try if you haven't already, Neville. And Ambriel says, as we embrace the ushering in the multimodal AI generative systems such as Sora, what excites you about the implications they can have for your work?
Yeah, no, I love so I already use Runway for like the ones that are moving, and there's some other ones that I use for moving images, right? Sora, I was always like, when I first saw Sora is the video, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So when I first saw Sora, because I have, also, I forgot. Okay, so the first one I started using when I started using generative AI was Dali.
Mhm.
And Dolly, listen, when I first started using it, you couldn't tell me that like I wasn't the bomb.com because I thought like I really thought that I was really doing something until I started using Midjourney, and Midjourney started to accelerate much more. So that being said, right, when I use OpenAI's DALI to produce any generative AI, it still doesn't produce imagery to the point that that Midjourney is able to produce. I'm not able to get a super hyper realistic image in that. So I'm not yet there in completely trusting that Sora is what they say it is just yet until they release it to the public. I can't. I need to see it because I'm just saying their imagery is not even that strong. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so for the longest time, when I was sharing information on Meta, Meta was I because I used to have a news show that we did every week on metaverse technology, and so what Meta was doing, they were saying that they were producing certain things, like for instance their Ray-Ban glasses that was supposed to be AR functional, was not, indeed was not. And a lot of the addresses that they did for Apple were all like projected, aspirational for them. It was something that they wanted to do. It was not something that they could do at that time. So because of that, this reminded me of that. When I saw that, I was just like, well, if your imagery is not even this great, how can your videos be this great? Now, that being said, I'm looking forward to them doing the video. Right now, Runway ML is the one that I work with to produce anything that when I'm using any movement. That's where I'm usually going. But it takes a lot to get something that's like decent, especially if you're not using the actual tool. And that's the thing, when you're using the actual tool, it's harder to produce it. You have to like produce something and then import. Usually that's where I'm usually working from, my imports, and then and then a lot of manipulation after that. So I may be using three or four, like I've already named, like I'm using like two and three and four, and then if I want to make it a move, I have to use five, and if I want to add some After Effects, I need to use other stuff. There are lots of layers just to produce something that maybe just moves for 10 seconds.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I'm just saying, for Sora, I love the implications. I also do use AI to produce music. It just takes a longer time to add that. Then that's a sixth and seventh, layer. It's kind of like, then I'm back to that place, that person that I was when I was doing the photography, the styling, the production, the art direction, all of that. It starts to be like that. And so now what I'm starting to do, Ambriel, is start to, yes, use multimodal AI generative systems somewhat, but also open to collaborations. I'm starting to like, realize maybe I need to just calm down, But yeah, this is exciting. Sora is exciting. I have a friend that does amazing videos right now. Without Sora, through Runway ML, and he's like starting to blow up over those. Yeah, I'm excited
Amazing.
about all of that.
Thank you. You touched on really good points. But before that, Sora, I just heard yesterday
Hmm.
that they have done a partnership with Adobe. So now
Hmm.
it's accessible through Adobe Premiere.
Okay,
So we have to pay,
of
but
course.
it is accessible as part of Adobe offering. So if you guys want to check it out, I haven't had a chance, but you want to check it out, it's available to public. And yeah, I had the same skeptical mindset about them because Dolly was the way it is and still is the way it is. But one thing I also know about companies is that sometimes departments are so isolated. So you could have a department working on images, static images, and they're just terrible, and then you have a different department doing really cool stuff.
Okay.
And it's just part of a bigger company, that they don't necessarily catch up on everything. And it is funny. I mean, you see that with Meta all the time. They have the answers in one department, but it's not communicated in the other department. So that is understandable. I appreciate your question, Ambriel. That was really good. But going back to what you mentioned, okay, that now there are so many layers. I mean, there has been so many layers into creating something amazing. And, there is this general misconception about how creating AI art is actually super easy and anyone can do it.
Oh my
Which is,
gosh.
I know. I was just at the Game Developers Conference a few weeks ago, and there was this panel of amazing game artists that they were kind of concerned about how the job market is really bad, lots of layoffs, everything we know about it. And one question was, what should we do about these AI artists that don't know anything and are taking our jobs? And I was very surprised. I had to speak up, and I said, that's not as easy as you think. And honestly, it's about how expert you are in even calling out the right history of the images and ideas, and just putting it together in an artistic format, and then post processing all the things you mentioned. So if you want to expand on that, I would really appreciate it, because it's really sad, that even within the creative community, we're not necessarily communicating what it takes to create an amazing work.
Yes, and that goes back to Ambriel's point. Yes, I am excited about the fact that I can expand the storytelling opportunities in it. And like you say, Nico, there is a lot of hard work that goes into all of that. I would say that it's my background as a stylist that makes this look easy. It may
Right.
just look easy, but like I said, I was going through that just now because I had a client that was looking for a price for like a certain amount of images. And I think that, it may go to people believing that it's easy to generate, images, to generate one image for me, I may take a couple of hours to get that one image, because there's always like one thing, something. Or even if I wanted to go in and start to focus in on fixing one part of it, it doesn't always necessarily work. So it may take another couple of hours just to get the one image right. And then, for instance, like in that second slide, right? I mean, post that second slide for me, if you will.
This one, yeah.
The middle one.
Oh, you mean
The
yes,
one in the middle, yes. So
sure.
this slide is like several layers of work. And one image, first of all, the first image took several hours to get the one image. And I might have taken like, out of all of the maybe hundreds of images that it took hundreds of images to choose the one, and then to edit certain things down, and then to resize them, and then to to crop into them, or to zoom them out, or to change the positioning, or where this person is sitting, if I want this person sitting, or if I wanted the person standing. There's a lot of editing that goes into getting that first shot to the second shot to the third shot. So this is why they're not that long, right? And then I'm taking then the moon was a whole different thing. I had to go through several different moons, put those in the background,
Yes.
make them move, make them move, put them in, put the moving image in, cut everything out, put a pattern on top of it. So the films, if or shorts, or whatever this is, just for a few seconds, takes a lot. It may take me a week to do that. So right now I'm working on like this. I was trying to do a fashion film, but
That's
it
amazing.
took me weeks to to get it done. And so people were like, "Oh yeah, can you do that for me?" Yeah, and they'll call you like the day before or 2 days before. And then it's like, "Oh, you can just do this, right? It just generate it, right?" Well, why couldn't you generate it? Because a certain description, like you said, you have to pull certain descriptions, you have to pull certain, ideas,
References,
yeah,
yes.
before you can even get that.
Yeah,
It
it's a
does not
lot.
come easy.
Even in the examples that, going back to that Sora conversation, like the examples of success of Sora, it actually came with the collaboration with the artists, with the team of artists. And
Right.
then also they did not share, like they did not say these are real time. So there was so much of post processing and editing that even OpenAI had to do before we see those work. So yes, there is a lot of education that needs to be done. That people that think these tools are easy is really not. And there's real talent and real expertise that it takes to actually deliver something good. I appreciate you sharing that. Before we answer more questions, I want to show other works from you. Tell us more about this one.
So this is these are like this is like my starting, this is a starting post. So like if I created the, if I finally get one image that I like out of the, maybe a couple of hundred images, right? Because you're at least posting 4 images each time. But to get the right one, and then to take that one and to expand it or widen it or pan it out or move it to the left or right, and then take that image and then put that through something else and make that move, right? This is like what Ambrielle was talking about with the multimodal sequences and things like that. This is where I start from in the moving image before I,
Beautiful.
so then I may take this and then put this into something else,
And
but
even this itself, I'm sure, took hours to make.
yeah, no, because because then the movements, so yeah, this is the best one out of 10 different ones, and that generates, and you're paying for each generation, these your time is going down on every generation, and it'll take it and it'll mess it up in the face, or it'll mess up the hand, you never know how it's going to, you have to, I'm not as good at the movement as some other people are, and that's because I'm not, my background is not film, you know what I mean?
Mm,
So my background is fashion. That's why I can produce great images in fashion, because my background is fashion, so I can pull from what I know in fashion. A person who's doing film AI will probably do a lot better because they know how the camera should be moving. I have to guess, you know.
yeah.
So my guessing is costing me every time I'm generating, So it takes me a little bit to move it, which is why like the film that I was working on is just taking me a long time. I took a break to do my taxes, child.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, yeah, and it was a way for me to just calm zen out for a minute, because I'm, you're in the zone, and that's why I was saying, I have people that are like, come on, let's do a photo shoot, let's do this and let's do that, and I'm still trying to get like one good image, you know what I mean, to put it into like something that's like if I start off at like 1 minute, I take it down to 20 seconds, usually
Yeah,
for whatever I post, like the last one that I
that's
showed.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then you have this other one that is really beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
Tell
Yeah,
us
that was
more.
the one.
What was the inspiration behind this?
I really loved the I love the outfit, and then I loved taking, the outfit and making it, more. I think I must have done like, maybe like 50 generations to get the bottom part, because
Mhm.
and that was annoying because I was going through different ones, that weren't perfect. Sometimes when you start to extend it, it'll warp your piece. And so this was one of the ones that I liked, because I liked that it was that the bottom of the pants, were, belled out from, the knee,
Mhm.
and I love trains, of course, and
Yes.
yeah, I just, I don't really go in with a plan. I just start to, that's why I call them fashion sketches, because I build on whatever it is that I have going. Yeah.
Amazing. And it seems like, as you're putting it, it's like you are working with these AI tools as a collaborator. And as you said, you're even expanding your collaboration with other experts in this space. So, what has changed is only you're introducing a new collaborator in your workflow that gives you somewhat more control, but it's also not perfect at all. Is that right?
Um,
So you're basically not really just relying on the AI to do the work for you. It's actually just another collaborator in
oh
your
yeah,
workflow that
yeah,
then you have to work with whatever intelligence level they have and whatever data that they have. And sometimes it could be frustrating, as if working with a human can be sometimes. So
yeah,
very similar in that case. So we have another continuous question that Ambriel had, that the convergence of multimodal AI offers in terms of expansion of your work, such as the applications that allow the combination of audio, video, and images. Do you see this a way to expand your storytelling capabilities? And that was the example that
yeah. That's what I was talking about when I saw that
awesome.
question, and that's what I was
Nice,
answering. Like,
nice. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. And then someone said, I love the work and commitment Ope provides here. Drive is incredible.
thank you.
Amazing for that. Appreciate that. Then we have another question from Casey. What are the most prominent use cases that brands are approaching you about? How are they viewing success? I think that's a good segue to talk about your partnerships. You have partnered with Maison Meda and Revolve with your AI work, and previously you worked with Walmart and others. So tell us more about what brands are thinking about these tools and your work.
Yeah, so Maison Meta, they're still doing, they're still doing their thing, obviously. They did good with Fashion Week. I was able to enter in Fashion Week, AI Fashion Week on a fluke. I had no idea. I didn't even and happened to be able to, by God's grace, get to the finalist um grouping, right? And so they connected me to Revolve. So when I did the collection with Revolve, that was incredible, because that was like a dream come true for me. I always wanted to be a fashion designer. That I went into styling because I my father wouldn't allow me to go to school for fashion design. He wasn't supportive that way. Um, and so this was like, getting into like a lifelong dream of, being able to um you know create. So I created the collection in AI, and Revolve took the collection that I created in AI, and they made it into an actual collection, which was sold. I think they're just finally selling out of all the, finally on down to the last few pieces that may be left on their site. And So yeah, it was a great experience. Revolve was great to work with, translating the images from AI to what we did inside of their studio was amazing. They worked on every detail, and they made it look just like the AI. So what I learned from my takeaway from that was that you can, like Nico was saying earlier, you can take what you do and you can make it so that people can see exactly what it is that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that was came from that as like as an issue was that at that time there was no way for us to see what the back of the garment was going to look like. And they were like, can you do an illustration in Illustrator? I was like, I remember trying to figure out Illustrator overnight. I was like, I cannot
Wow.
do this. Okay, there was no way that was going to happen, right? So I ended up we imagined what the back of the garment was going to look like. and we went over that together. We worked it out together, but the front of the garments were exactly as the AI sketched, down to the color and everything, as much as possible as we could find the fabrics and all of that.
Amazing. So I
Yes.
wanted to share my screen as you're talking about it. Which one was yours in
Let me
that?
see if I can find anything in my
I
old
pulled
work.
up the article. In this
Yeah, the
article,
blue pieces were mine. The
this
others
one.
were other people. So the blue,
Okay,
anything
let
that was
me.
like blue or
This one.
navy. Yeah, that one, or black. Yes, that one. That one with the blue background, and
Oh,
yeah, and I think the light blue one.
I don't know if there are images of those, but
I
um,
saw the one. If you
you mean up here,
go back all the way up, I think.
all the way up. Let's
Yeah.
see. Oh, this one. That was yours?
I don't see it yet. That one, yes. So that one.
Wow, the
I
most
think that one is
gorgeous.
still. Thank you. I think that one is still on the website. They still have that one. So
Wow.
yeah, that one, and the blue, and if I can find one before we leave, I'll take one of these down and I'll try and add it up there before we leave. But yeah,
Yeah,
um
you can leave the link in the chat later. This is amazing. So people can go check it out in the Revolve's website as of
yes.
now.
Yes, if they want to find me on Revolve, they have to put the accent over the E. I noticed that you can't find me if you just put OPE. It's
Wow.
OP with the accent over the E. You have to put that in there to find the pieces that are left. There's only like, I think, like maybe 3 pieces that are left up there, because it's
Wow.
sold out. The collection did sell out a couple of times. Thank God.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was a good run, but I wish that I could have that experience again. I'm looking for opportunities to do that kind of thing again. I'm trying to be different, and because I'm like more of an introverted person, and it's hard for me you know to like I need to just get myself together, and just
you're
approach people
amazing.
and let them know thank you, that I want to do these kind of things. So yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so for those of you in the audience that are looking for collaborators, you can see the gorgeous outcome that she can create. And if you're just a fashion enthusiast, these are beautiful items that are using technology. So check them out. Tell us more about your partnership with Walmart. Before all of these generative AI being so hyped and exciting, I know you worked with Walmart and the company they acquired, Zikit. Tell us more about that. And if you want me to share that item that you just added, let me know.
Yeah, I was still trying to find the other one, but well, yeah, you can share that one. But so yeah, when I was working with Walmart, I worked with them on their they have a collaboration that they did with Zkit, and actually they acquired Zkit. Zkit is one of their acquisition
Yes.
companies, right? And I worked with them so that we did a I did the casting for all of the models. There were I found, like, I think there was like 50 plus models that we found from size 0 to size 24, and
Wow.
we used their bodies as mapping for all of the products in the Walmart upper end collections for their brand. We mapped them with in the studio, just with basic undergarments, and then we did the styling. I did the styling for the pieces, and we worked with the Zkit people, which was interesting for the AR. They have an AR aspect to this, so you go
Virtual
into.
try-on. Yes.
Yes, you go in and you do a virtual try on, and this was 2 years ago. I mean, 2.5 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
they were early in making that happen on their site. Well, I think it was 2.5 years ago that I did it, and then it was like 2 years ago that they actually posted it on their site. So they they really were innovative at that time, for a studio. I think I've only ever seen that with, I think, maybe one other group. But yeah, you could go in there and you could just like relate to, like, if you were size 0, if you were size 10, if you were size 20. You could find someone whose body type was like yours. So we looked for, I looked for women of all types. Like, I literally was scouting, there were, all kinds of body shapes there, right? And ages, right? It was from 18 to I think maybe 60 or 60 years old, all kinds of
Wow,
women, all
that's
shapes,
very
all
diverse.
sizes. And very inclusive. And so you can go in and you can just, it's a version of AR for clothing, that you want to go in and find something that you think will work for your body type. You can identify with the body type and, keep that model in there. And I think they were advancing to even, add it so that it could actually be your own body type. But it was a good start, at that time.
Yeah, just to add to that, I've been very active in the virtual try-on space. I've been following Zkit from early on. They were one of the best technology providers, and they had an app before they get acquired, and it would almost real time um, change your clothing with virtual try-ons in a really good proximity. Obviously, not to the expectations of fashion experts, but
Right.
it would give you a perspective of like what the clothing could look like, not necessarily how it would fit. And this product that they partnered and they, added on to Walmart platform was not necessarily for you to upload your image and see it on yourself. It was more like these are the models that they have perfectly scanned, and then now you can see the items that you want to purchase on the body of these avatars made off of these real models. That Open made a great process with them and collaboration to take those pictures and then have these to be trained on. So that's what happened with that. I appreciate you sharing that. Tell us more about this video that you just shared. It's so beautiful. Tell us what's happening. What's the story behind it?
Thank you so much. So yeah, this was a collection that I had made. I was trying to thank you, Chris. I was trying to work on more collections, trying to have more ideas and reapproach um Revolve with a new collection, hopefully. And this was like more of like, I'm very attracted to, high end fashion, or really fun, dramatic fashion. And this was something like that. And this was like, these were things that I was doing with pictures before, making them into like, different like, video presentation type of things, just playing around with the imagery, which I could do that, inside of AI, more than I could with like people in real life. Because when you start to, when you go through the thing of shooting an actual model, and I remember I did something like this with this other model, but it was like very much more artistic. And I remember, sharing it with her, and I'm sure she was like, she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything back. And I'm sure she did that because it was like so artistic. People want a pure image, but
Yeah.
that was the thing I was really super excited about, when I first saw, that I could, create these images in here, that I could like, I could take a model, that I would create in here, and I could just do whatever it was that I wanted to do artistically, without it feeling like, I was, knocking that model down a notch by, taking their image and making it into some kind of artwork, you know.
That
So
makes
yeah, this
full.
was this was that. I was trying to get the trying to find those other images, and I think I can't load it in there because they're not PDFs. So yeah.
No worries. You can add it to the comment section as people replay. It will all show afterwards. But I appreciate you sharing that. This was amazing. There's so much work that you have put in, and that makes it so valuable. Thank you for sharing that. Now, as we are approaching towards the end of the show, tell us how you see all of this kind of enhancing the fashion industry in the future. What's next in your perspective for the industry, for the creators like you, and kind of how everyone can get involved into all of this?
um you know, there's a lot that's still to come. I was, my focus was never really in AI. The how things took this turn into AI, this focus on AI. The fashion industry is obsessed with AI. um and I think they're also very, some people are, a lot of people are afraid of AI. But AI is a servant. That's why, when you were saying earlier, really, I'm collaborating with AI, or AI is doing what I want. I'm using it as an automation. It's a machine to get what I want, the results that I want, and I have to work with it to produce that, right?
Yes.
um, so where it's going for me is that this was just a juncture of it, so that I could get to work with, more. I want to see more things with virtual reality, of course, augmented reality, holograms, and um, that's where I'm going with it. 3D aspects I'm trying to look into printing these things out, printing, doing 3D printing. I was trying to get it done on my own, but I was looking for collaborations. But you have to find people who are willing to collaborate with you, who really will work with you as a team. So that would be a dream, to be able to find people that I could work with in a real team format. And I look forward to creating in augmented reality, because that was a goal, was to see people dressing with fashion in metaverse. Well, I don't know if that's dated to say metaverse spaces, but in
Immersive experiences, yes.
yeah, yeah. So to see it in these type of ways, that's what I'm looking forward to. And of course, just being able to see fashion in the way I would like to see it, I'm excited about that,
Amazing.
as it pertains to its use with the technology and AI. Yeah.
Yeah, I love your flexibility and openness to incorporate all of this into your workflow. And yeah, our amazing audience and and community are great potential partners. So tell us where people can find you, how they can support your great work, how can they follow you?
Yeah, well, you can follow me on LinkedIn, and you can follow me on. You can log into my website. My website is where I am, and Instagram, of course. Instagram is where I normally post my work, and I'm just trying to get more into, doing more things from my website, and networking with people in the LinkedIn space, because I feel like right now, like, that may be where people, may be, serious about connecting and actually working.
Appreciate that. As we are talking and ending the conversation, you can put the link to your website and social media in the chat, in the comment section, so everyone can see it. I appreciate all of our amazing audience with their great questions and contribution. We appreciate Yemi, David, Ambriel, Chris, Casey, and we had Neville, Oleg, and more of our amazing audience that really contributed a lot to this beautiful conversation. I appreciate you, Opie. You were amazing, and you are amazing. And truly, like the level of art that you're creating, and all the work that you're putting in is remarkable. And so everyone is inspired, I'm sure, by seeing what you just shared. You guys can go check it out right now and follow her for more. And also try it if you haven't already. Try some of these tools. Opie mentioned that she's also teaching people. So if you guys want to learn, you can also approach her and collaborate with her or learn from her. So there's a lot of potential synergies that we can all explore with these great creators. Is there anything else you would like to add, Opie, before we wrap?
No, no, that's been it. Thank you so much for this time.
Of
You know,
course,
I
my
was
pleasure.
very nervous about doing this.
No,
And
you
but
are
I thank you
amazing.
for making me feel very comfortable.
Of
Yeah,
course. Of
it didn't seem to go as slow as I thought it would. Thank you.
No, it was a pleasure. I really had a good time as well. And again, thanks to our great audience for contributing in the conversation. We will be back next Tuesday with more on how we can use these technologies to enhance our day to day lives. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And if you want to listen to the replay, the recording will be available on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.